Dakota here, and today's project we're going to be doing the rear brake pads and rotors on this '05 Mazda, or '04, sorry, Mazda 6. So pretty straightforward, it's the same as every other rear brake job with this stupid piston rewind thing, so be prepared for that. That's a bit of a fun one. Okay, so stuff you're going to need. So you're going to need a way to take the wheel off. I didn't mention that in the front. It's a 13/16 socket or a 21mm. You're going to need your trusty wire brush and your assortment of flat blade screwdrivers, just general hand tools. You're going to need a 3/8 extension, preferably a short one. One of these brake piston rewinder tools. You can get this for a few bucks at your local auto parts store. A 14mm deep socket. And over there on my 3/8 ratchet's the 14mm shallow socket. I have this breaker bar just in case, because whatever they are, mounting bracket bolts are a real pain to get off. A number 2 or 3 Phillips, big Phillips. And if that doesn't work, you're going to need an impact driver to take the rotor screws out. A big pair of channel locks just in case. A little hammer. And you're going to need some silicone brake lubricant. You're going to need some disc brake quiet, or you can use the silicone brake lubricant on the back of the pads. I do a lot of brake jobs, so this is good stuff to use. And some solvent and some paper towels. And of course you're going to need new brake pads and rotor. So let's get started. So first things first, let's get the wheel off. Okay, so we use our 14mm socket once we get the wheel off. We're going to remove the caliper. So that's a little bit of a pain to get off, but all these bolts seem to be ridiculously tight on here. Pop that out. Then we slide this guy up and over and back. Now you can take the bolt off, but it's virtually impossible to get to with that rear suspension arm in the way. Okay. I just realized I messed up on the other side. Don't forget about this clip. Let's take the brake pads off next. Now we need our deep socket. There's no way. Well, yeah, no, there's really no way you're getting that thing in there. Now, these seem to be real stuck on there, so. Now, the reason we need the deep socket is for this bottom bolt here. And it actually goes through the suspension arm. There's a hole in it. And then, now the reason I'm using the breaker bar is just because it's got a little bit more leverage. There we go. Pull that out. Pull our caliper mounting bracket off. Now we get the bolt out. Now I gotta get the rotor off, which is kind of fun. Now, I don't even know why I'm even bothered trying with the screwdriver, because that ain't coming off. So we're going to use our impact driver. Now what we do is we kind of twist it in the direction we want to go, which is loose in this case, and then we there we go. What a pain. Alright. So we loosen our rotor screws off. Now, of course, because it's locked on there like you wouldn't believe, we're going to have to use the hammer to get the rotor off. Alright. You can see with the back side, this thing's pretty chewed up. Alright, so that's our disassembly complete. Now we can start cleaning and getting ready for reassembly. Alright, so the next thing we got to do is spray our brake pads with some disc brake quiet. Nice liberal coating on there. And we let it sit and tack before we put it back in. Alright, so now it's time to rewind the piston back into the caliper. So we need our ratchet wherever I put it. I always do this. Okay, well, either way. I got a spare sitting right here, so let's go with that one. So now, what I like to do is temporarily reinstall the caliper mounting bracket loosely. Okay, so I put that in there. And now what we do is we put our caliper back in and stick this pin in loosely. That holds the caliper in place so that we can rewind the piston. Well, this is definitely frustrating as hell. It doesn't want to go back in. Feels like this caliper might be seized. Alright, so it's a little stubborn, but I got it winding now. Wind the piston back in until it's flush with the housing, and you'll feel the resistance change when it gets to the bottom, and then line it up so that the little notch is stuck at the bottom. Got my little unlocker tool stuck in there, a rewinder tool. This guy off. Pull that out. And pull this out. Now, I don't know if you can necessarily see that, but we see right there that little notch there in the piston is right at the bottom of the caliper. So that way we know that it's all good. This little boot popped off. Don't ever forget to put these boots back on because they keep the moisture and stuff out. Without it, the slider pin would quickly seize up. I'll have to get it back on when I get it off the vehicle here. There we go. So don't ever lose these boots here. They're very, very important. So now we take our wire brush. Sounds like we're about to have company. And we clean off the hub surface. Just like that. So now what we need to do is we put a little bit of anti-seize, oops, that's a lot, on the lips of the hubs here, on the hub surface. That'll promote simple and easy removal of the rotor next time. Hopefully, because I did the brakes on this car probably 4 years ago, won't be for another 4 years. It's been a good, reliable car though. Alright, so there we go. Next step, we have to grab the rotor and clean it off. Alright, so let's unbox the rotor. It's all nicely plastic wrapped. Now we remove the rotor from its plastic casing. And they don't have much paper towel left, but hopefully we can extend it to work here. So we put a little bit of solvent on here. We give the surface, and only the surface, a good cleaning. We don't want the rust inhibitor all over the brake pad, so that'll make a smoky, stinky mess. I'll take this guy and wipe it off. Make sure it's all nice and clean. All nice and clean. There we go. See the dirt and stuff that comes off of these. So now what we need to do is we need to take it by the edge and we need to index it so that the holes for the screws line up. I guess you can't see what I'm doing unless I move it over here. So there's the two holes that the rotor screws go into. So we put a little anti-seize on the rotor screw. And again, just a little dab of anti-seize on the other one. And that'll hopefully make removing them a little easier, even though I didn't have the rotors off on the last brake job, so hopefully they come off easy the next time. Okay, so now what we do is we take our caliper mounting bracket and we use our handy dandy wire brush, and in here we clean off the surfaces that the pad rides on. Just like that. And then we take it and we put a dab of anti-seize right where the pads slide. Just like that. And then our two mounting bracket bolts. Again, we'll put a dab of that on there. Now we make sure that this guy's facing the right way. That slides over top. Okay, now tighten them up. Not a whole lot of working room in here. The problem is that this guy's really, really long, so there's quite a few threads. Of course, I don't even have it lined up properly. I guess that's my faux pas of the day. So one thing you got to keep in mind with these screw type calipers is that they can get sticky over time, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're seized, although these do commonly seize up too, so again, do be aware of that. Okay, so we tighten the bottom, and we tighten the top, and then let's double check the bottom, and we double check the top. Okay, so now that that's tight, we're going to put our freshly tacky brake pads in. Okay, and now we put our little spring clip in. Now this thing's going to want to move on you, so now what we do is we take our brake lubricant, however little I have left in this tube, just put a dab of it on the slider. Okay, now we grab it and we slide it in. Come on, there we go. And then we take our other slider pin and we'll clean it off. Now if there's any kind of pitting on these, make sure you clean it off, because if there's any kind of pitting, it won't slide smoothly. Do not forget that clip. That clip is important. That little spring clip. So, tighten that guy down. Caliper slides, and there we go. We're all done. Yeah, these ones aren't too bad, but they're getting there. This one's real bad. So good thing we replaced them. So I just did the brakes on all four corners. So now we just have to put the wheel back on, and we can put the. And don't forget, we need to torque them up too. So let's get the wheel back on. Now, we take our impact gun, set it for tightening. Okay, so now what we do, probably can't see too well. I don't know why the interior lights don't come on in this car. Pump on the brakes a few times until the brake pedal's nice and firm. We go back here and we give the wheels a spin. That's just perfect. Now remember that disc brakes will drag a little bit, so that is normal. Alright, take it for a test drive. Just hit the brakes a few times, make sure they work. Seat belt for safety. Always. Make a stop. You know, first few stops you want to be fairly moderate with. You don't want to hammer on them too hard just yet, just in case there's something wrong with them. About a city driving speed maybe. Everything feels pretty good. Make sure nobody's behind you when you hit the brakes, by the way. Excuse me. Just make a little bit more aggressive stops, but again, don't hit the brakes so hard that the car behind you rear ends you, because that would be real bad. Make sure there's no shuddering or shimmying in the pedal or anything like that. Oh man, these wiper blades are terrible. Come on. That kind of caught me off guard. Make sure you don't feel any kind of shuddering through the car, hear any odd noises. Make sure that the brakes, obviously the pedal doesn't flutter and the steering wheel doesn't shimmy at all. As long as you use premium quality parts, usually you're pretty good. I've had problems with using the more economy level ones. Brake parts are not something that you should use economy level anything. Not only for braking reasons, because I'll be honest, they really don't brake as nicely as the premium ones do. They make a lot more noise and a lot more dust. But they also, I just find that they don't go together very easily either. They're usually very difficult. Like on the Wagner Thermoquiet ones that I used to use. On this car, actually, I had the problem. They had casting flash still all over the back of the backing plate. And the little hole for the clips, I actually had to drill it out because it, well, didn't exist. It wasn't there. It wasn't there from the factory. So, just generally, just crappy quality. And they have gotten better, but not by much, really. I still don't like them very much. Either way, that's just an honest opinion. Now, I gotta get ready to go to church, so let's wrap this one up. Come on. Alright, well, I'm 6Speed Dakota. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative. You can follow me at facebook.com/6speeddakota, Twitter at 6speeddakota, Google plus 6speeddakota. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. I got lots of auto repair videos and stuff like that. I enjoy teaching you, the viewer, how to do things. So keep it coming. I really appreciate all your guys' support. All right, take it easy, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day or evening or whatever time of day it is for you.